Hey there, how's everybody tonight? Thank you so much for joining us, and I really appreciate it. Please let me know when you get on and your name and what you're up to these weeks. And if you got through last week's homework, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but just let me know what's going on. And hey, Chris, thanks for joining me. How you doing tonight? Uh, so tonight, what I wanted to talk about was what I call kryptonite. And kryptonite, just like, with, I guess it was Superman, who it was the thing that just like devastated him, took him out, held him back. And we all have it. Like, we all have different things that go on in our lives that do that. Some of them are things that we're consistently trying to change, bad habits. Some of them could be, like right now, I am sitting here and I am in my workout clothes. Quite frankly, I've been in my workout clothes since 6 o'clock this morning. And this is one of my downfalls. The things that hold me back is that I said this morning, I was like, well, instead of going to the gym first thing, I'm going to go for a walk with my dog. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. Hey, Joan, thanks for joining me. And I totally knew that I was going to start negotiating with myself, because if I get a late start on the day, then I tell myself, oh, I'll go to the gym later, and it never happens, because in a lot of ways, work is my kryptonite. I get in front of my computer and I sit down and bam, I'm just 8 hours later, 10 hours later sometimes, I'm just still here. So kryptonite is that thing that if you could change, it's a little bit more than that, because it's also that thing that you could change. If you could really change it, would be the thing that made everything work. What's that turning point for you? And I know the people who are on right now know me already, but for those of you who are listening later, if we haven't met before, I'm Kelly Howard, and I really love helping women, busy women, successful women, women who are in their businesses, women who are in the business world, figure out how to become more active, lose that lack of workout shame that comes over people so much, change their habits, and discover that movement that you really like is the movement that really matters, because that's the stuff that's going to bring you joy, and it's going to be the thing that keeps you moving when you don't want to get up that day and go out. So thank you so much for joining me. And one of the things I was thinking about earlier when I was making notes about tonight was that a lot of times the things that really hold us back, they end up being either mindset or habits. And those are kind of like most things that don't work can kind of be lumped into those two piles. It's, how you're thinking and how you're acting. So I was talking to one of my clients in the last week, and she said to me, she went, before we started working together, I had reached the point where I was just ready to throw in the towel. I just thought I was too old, that I'd never be able to get back in shape, start feeling better, get my energy back, quit feeling bad about myself. And it was her mindset that had just she'd slowly been putting on weight. She'd quit working out. She'd just she'd just kind of let things run over her, which happens to all of us. And it was the mindset that was getting her. And I know another client had said to me that her deal was that she was always getting injured. She was consistently getting injured. And so she had just decided, just forget it. If I'm going to always be injured, I'm just not going to bother. And then someone else was telling me that it was food. It was actually food and drink. She'd be really, really good, eat super clean, nothing to drink, no wine, no beer, no alcohol, no fun, no champagne, no nothing. And then all of a sudden it would just make her crazy, and she'd just fall off the wagon, literally, not fall into a stupor, but she'd eat whatever she felt like, she'd drink whatever she felt like, and then she'd feel really, really guilty for having done that. And that's kind of one of the things that really gets us. So if you want to let me know what your kryptonite is, if type it in. And if you're not sure, a few things to ask yourself. And if you just jumped on, we are talking tonight about the kryptonite, the things the thing that really holds you back from having what it is that you want when it comes to your fitness. So one of the questions that you can ask yourself is, what's something that you really want to change? Like, oh, my cat's helping me out this evening, so watch out. Let me move the keyboard before she disconnects all of us. So like, what's something that you really want to change? And it could be something that you want to, excuse me, so professional. We're so professional in this household. I apologize, I should have locked her out. Excuse me. So like, what's something other than your cat in the middle of the screen that you really want to change? I mean, it could be something that you want to stop doing. It could be something that you want to start doing. Like, you know, what's something that you want to change? Another question could be, what's holding you back? Like, what are the things that are getting in your way? You know, what are the things that you're thinking about that aren't helping you? Like, what are those things? And if you have any ideas, hop in and let me know. Hang on, my cat is. This is awesome. Thanks. This is about as yeah. Yeah, Betsy. The only thing that would make this even better is if my Akita decided to get on my desk right now. I had a completely to get off the subject. I had a rescue dog recently who I'd never had like a little dog, and it never occurred to me that a dog would jump up on your desk and walk across your keyboard. So, all right, I think we've settled down over here. Back to like kryptonite, you know, what are the things that are holding you back? What have you tried to change and didn't, like you failed? That's something a lot of people talk with me about. Like they say, I want to be consistent with my exercise. Like, you know, I'm ready to be consistent. And then they start to be, but then they just fail at it. And failing is, it's truly just a thought process, because the honest to goodness truth is anytime you do something is better than not doing anything, right? And if you're not super consistent the first few times, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter, because we get better with practice. We get better with community. We get better with friends. We just get better as we continue to do things. So don't feel like being inconsistent with exercise is a fail. It's a learn. It's just a learn, right? Another one is that you could ask yourself, you know, if you could have this change, like with the snap of a finger, like whatever it is that you want to do, what would you change? And how would your life improve? Because when you do that, when you ask yourself those things, it gives you a shift inside. And the shift inside is you go from wanting to being. And the difference between wanting and being is, wanting is when you wish, like, I wish I could do this. And like me today, I wish I could get to the gym. Versus if I had been 100% in my power, I would have said, I am going to the gym. And even if I'm going to start late this morning, the gym trumps, because I know darn good and well that an hour and a half at the gym, it's not an hour and a half at the gym, but between the drive and everything else, an hour and a half out of my morning is so much, it's just so worth it. Because in the end, if I don't, I'm just going to end up feeling kind of yucky at the end of the day. And the other thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to have less, I'm not going to use the word willpower, because willpower is kind of a BS thing. Like, you can will yourself into things for a while, but then as soon as you get tired, or you work too much, or, you know, whatever it is that kind of drags your energy down, then you just don't have any willpower. It's just not there. It's not a thing. So hang on, I'm going to check real quick and see what Joan has to say, because I know she put something down here. Yeah, no, emotional eating, like, okay, this is completely off topic, but completely on topic. I interviewed somebody on the podcast way back in the very beginning. And this is about emotional eating because what she said, she's a nutritionist. She has a little bit more of a title than that, but she's a nutritionist in Australia. And she works with people prenatal, right? But what she said that they've discovered is that the food that your mom ate as like comfort food, not just comfort eating, but comfort food, is tends to be the food that you want or something similar when you get stressed. So so I always say, like, I blame it on my mom that, like, if I'm stressed, I eat macaroni and cheese. Like, so disgusting, but that's my go-to comfort food. And so I always wanted to, my mom's no longer with me, but I always wanted to ask her after I heard that, like, did you eat a lot of macaroni and cheese when you were stressed when you had me? But I mean, not to make light of it though, because comfort food, comfort eating, um, it's it's no different than, I mean, it's really no different than wanting a drink at the end of the day because you're tired, wanting certain foods because you're tired and you just kind of need something. It is as much physical as it is mental, and as much mental as it is physical. And sometimes the things with comfort eating is that it's just finding a way to change the habit. And we're going to have to talk a lot about habits because in the end, everything, like everything we do is a habit. Like we are either habits, triggers, things trigger us, or we are, like I said earlier, we're who we say we are. And that is so, I know that sounds kind of lame. It's like if I see myself as an athlete who absolutely, unequivocally sticks to her plan for the week, which I didn't today, then everything else becomes easier. So it's the same thing with whether it's movement or food or whatever. It's asking yourself, like, how can I be 100% who I'm supposed to be? Does that make sense? Sometimes it gets a little bit woo-woo when I start talking like that, but it is true. So, how can you be that person? Then you can go ahead and make it easier, right? By removing as much of the temptation as possible. Like in our household, Phil calls me no fun food Kelly. That's how he calls me. And you know what? It's fair because I don't keep food around the house that would tend to be something that I really don't think I want to eat when I'm not feeling like on top of my game and I could be triggered. So hang on just a second. Let me see. So Chris says I need a routine. So yeah, having a routine takes the decision out. You are exactly right because once you don't do the routine, like me this morning, once I didn't do my routine, I immediately just like fell off the wagon. And she says, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, including myself. And it's true. Like, I totally get it. And then Carrie said that my mom and I love Bluebell. So she says she's celebrating. I'm a celebratory emotional eater, and every day is a celebration. Sorry. You have to ask your mom if she enjoyed Bluebell when she was pregnant with you too. That might have been a little bit before their time. That's funny. So yeah, I mean, food is a big part of our lives. I mean, it plays a big deal in how we control our emotions. And so, coming back to habit, I think that we're well pressed to have a set of habits, like Chris said, a routine. And if you have a routine, it makes it simpler. And I know it's kind of interesting because a lot of the people that I work with, they have the hardest time on the weekend because they have a routine during the week. So work is at a certain time, everything happens according to their routine. And then Saturday and Sunday are kind of like a free-for-all. And it's funny because I'm just the opposite. Like during the week, I have a pretty good routine during the week, and I know what I'm going to be doing. My day is a little bit less structured than most people because I do work out of the house. But during the weekends, it's when I really can dial in a serious routine. So it's just kind of like putting that routine together and sticking with it. So lack of routine could be a kryptonite, right? Could be a definite one. And then I also wanted to pass one other thing on to y'all. Hang on just a second. So one way to deal with this, and if you just jumped on, I know a couple of people have just jumped on, we're talking about what I call the kryptonite. It's the thing that throws you off, holds you back, stops you from whatever it is that you want to accomplish when it comes to your fitness. Like for Chris, it could be lack of routine, right? For me, in a lot of ways, that is true too. Like my routine is my schedule. And my schedule, we talked about that last week. If you haven't gotten your workbook, grab it today. But this is my schedule. If you can see, yes. So I wrote out my schedule, but I didn't post it. Like, I'm very visual. So I want my schedule right in front of me. And so now that I missed my first thing of the week, which is the gym, I'm gonna have to move everything around. So it makes it kind of a mess for me, like especially with a holiday this week, because I know that the gym's going to be closed on Thursday. So ask yourself, what are those things that you can do that are going to absolutely support you in not falling off whatever it is. For me, routine, visually driven. I know that making sure that I have the right food in the house, the right things in the house, and the wrong things aren't in the house. So, just check yourself. Like, what are some of the things that you could do? What's holding you back? Okay. That's the question. That's almost always the question I always come back to. Like, what's holding you back? We all know. Like, we all know. And what's going to be holding you back is either going to be typically habit. So, what can you create your habits around? Or it could be mindset. And I'll talk a lot more about this, I think, next week, because it's something that I've been, now, okay, not scientific what I've been doing. We'll just throw that out there right now. But something that I noticed, and it started out because I was at the gym one day, and I had a thought that wasn't a very powerful thought. It was a negative thought, and I was lifting at the time, and I was thinking, I don't want to even finish this set. And I thought, that's really funny. Why would you not want to finish this set? I thought, well, you were thinking kind of, bad thoughts, like not bad thoughts, negative thoughts. And so then I thought something positive, and I noticed that it was easier to do my set. There's a lot of information out there around mindset and how our mind actually triggers everything, but definitely our workouts and what we're doing. So we'll talk about that, and we're also going to talk about habit, because habits in general, it seems to be the thought is it takes 67 days to make a habit that sticks. So if you're going to have a routine and you want that routine to be super consistent, then you're going to need basically 67 days or 3.5. It's 2.5. Late day. Can't do my math anymore. A little over 2 months to really dial in that routine. If you want to stop eating a certain food, the craving should go away, and you should be able to have a habit set in about 67 days. The other side of that is you want to become the person who doesn't want to do that habit. If you haven't listened to this, you should jump on the website, fitisfreedom.com, and look under podcasts for the one that I did with Jim Fortin. And I don't know the episode off the top of my head. I'll post it in here later. But he talks a lot about habits. And there's a lot of interesting information out there. So we need to think about habits. And comfort eating is a habit, right? I mean, for me, like at the end of the day, I typically want to have a glass of wine. It's a habit. Like it's simply a habit. And whenever I go on a sugar 30 days, 40 days, 60 days without 90 days without sugar, well, then that means no wine either. And it's a habit that I have to break. And then if I go back to it, then all of those old neuro pathways that were there are still laid there, comes right back. So any questions about that? I mean, I could ramble about this one a bit because it's such a huge topic and it's such a simple topic at the same time. Like, I mean, what we're really dealing with is keeping a positive mindset, taking care of removing habits that don't work, and then, bringing in the whole idea of consistency and community, because having community, especially for those of us who work on our own or, are just like without that outside community, having community, even here or in our Facebook group, private Facebook group, the link is right there. Talking in there, it gives you something to work with, because we are social animals, like we really are, and we need that. So any questions? I want to just talk about this week's homework. If you haven't gotten your workbook, make sure you get it. So this week is, one of the pieces is the schedule, right? So now I've got to go back and completely redo this schedule. So not quite sure how that's going to work, but I'm going to do that this evening before I go to bed, because I have to be ready for tomorrow. If anyone's in Houston, you should come ride with me in the morning. I'm riding over at Brays Bayou. Ping me and I'll get you the details. And then the other thing that was the week 2 questions, which one of them was, what did you change or what's become better organized in your life this week? I mean, what'd you do to kind of make things to up level? And I know for me, I had to go in and I cleaned my cabinet out. My food, I just gotten kind of tired of what I'm cooking all the time, what I'm eating all the time. It's just kind of like, same old, same old. And so I went in, I cleaned the cabinet out, I cleaned the fridge out, started from a clean slate, tried some new stuff. So that was good. Another question was, when and where did you say no this week? Like, I'm a big fan of the word no. And I realized this week that a volunteer situation that I've been in for a while just doesn't serve me anymore. And so it's time for me to step out of that and say no. And another thing that came in was, the last question was, when and where did you say yes? Because, yeses matter, right? Like yes is a positive. It's the yes to joy, right? For me, it came when I was riding with a friend last week, and we decided to do a century ride this next year. So doing a century, which is 100 miles next year. So if anyone's on the live tonight and you're in Houston and you want to join us for a 100-mile ride in May, let's do it. Otherwise, any questions, any comments? Because I don't want to keep you guys too long, and I know I said that I would try and get off here, keep you at under 30 minutes. So questions, comments, and if not, I just want to say come right back and say a couple of other things. I know a lot of in the US and Canada right now, this week it is a holiday. So I know a lot of my people have already told me they were not going to be able to be here this week. So we do have a Q&A Wednesday night. I will be on. And we will also probably go an additional week or maybe even 2 after the initial 4 weeks, if anybody wants to keep going and work on, building that habit muscle, building that consistency, sticking with the community. And keep in mind, like, if you know what's holding you back, then awareness is, it's like 99% of what you need. And if you don't know what's holding you back, then just ask yourself, like, what matters? And I did want to say thank you. Thank you, Carrie, for your yes. A yoga retreat in Chapel Hill. How cool. That is very cool. Congratulations for you. That sounds awesome. So thank y'all so much for being on again. And for those of you who are around, send in your questions this week. And you can either message me, you can email me. If you are getting the newsletter, you can also post it in the main group or the private group, whichever which way you want. And also in the private group, don't forget to post your schedule. I'm going to have to go and clean mine up, and then I'll get it posted too. Thank you so much for being on with me tonight, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And if I don't see you, have a very happy 4th. And if you're in Canada, happy Canadian Day. See ya. Bye-bye.